So today's topics, centers or centering, seem pretty opaque to me, but I happen to be reading this great little book written by a guy named James Carse that mentions centers in passing, so I thought I'd share some of it. The book is called Finite and Infinite Games, A Vision of Life as Play and Possibility. Carse says there's two kinds of games. A finite game is played for the purpose of winning. An infinite game is for the purpose of continuing the play. We're all familiar with finite games, which include everything from dominoes to domination. Basically, the daily games we play for fun and profit. The point of finite games is to win. The point of infinite games is the play itself. We know we're playing when we're surprised and transformed when we grow. Carse, who taught history of religion at NYU, is rooting for the infinite games. Carse says, finite players play within boundaries, infinite players play with boundaries. He gets off a lot of good stuff like that. So what about centers? Here's what I got out of Carse. Our center is not a place, or at least if it is, it's better if it doesn't stay in place. Our center is more like a capability, what Carse calls our genius. Now, Carse's term genius seems to start with the Romans' sense of genius as a guiding spirit, and then toss in the existentialism thing, as in, I am the genius of myself. This is genius as the begetter of ourselves. Carse locates this agent, this thinker of thoughts, as the center of a field of vision. So there's the center thing. From any center, there's a horizon. But sacralizing that center requires a turning away from horizons. Carse explains, we're never somewhere in relation to the horizon, since the horizon moves with our vision. We can only be somewhere by turning away from the horizon, by replacing vision with opposition, by declaring the place on which we stand to be timeless, a sacred region, a holy land, a body of truth, a code of inviolable commandments. Now, is that a good thing? Not for the long game. Carse says, every move an infinite player makes is toward the horizon. Every move made by a finite player is within a boundary. Every moment of an infinite game therefore presents a new vision, a new range of possibilities. Carse says, who lives horizontally, by which I think he means horizontally, is never somewhere, but always in passage. So if our center remains rooted in a sacred region or a body of truth or some code of conduct, our passage will cease and will live within the boundaries of finite games. This means that to keep playing the long game, we have to trade off the sacred somewhere for the possibility of movement and new vision. To do this, it's best not to think of our centers as somewhere, but as a capability, as a competence, as our genius. Now, luckily, keeping your eye on the horizon needn't be lonely. In fact, living horizontally in passage through infinite play is the only way that Carse thinks we can touch each other. He distinguishes touching from moving. Moving someone is pushing them where you want them. This may surprise them, but it won't surprise you because you created that place. And you can only move someone if you don't move yourself. You need the leverage of an unmoved mover. But touching is different. I'm touched only if I respond from my own center, spontaneously, originally. And you touch me from your own center, out of your own genius. So touching is always reciprocal. You can't touch me unless I touch you in response. A hallmark of touching and of infinite play itself is surprise. Carse says, whoever touches and whoever is touched cannot but be surprised. Carse also says there are some persons in whose presence we learn to prepare ourselves for surprise. I have a friend like that. This guy is definitely not sharing my center. He's barely in my event horizon. He's nice, I'm not. He does things for others, I don't. He ignores the rational, that's where I live. He has a rapport with children, and I don't. But my friend makes me laugh, and laughter comes from surprise. Not all surprise involves the kind of reciprocal touching that Carse is talking about. When we win a finite game like chess, we surprise our opponent, but not ourselves. We don't touch him, we just move him into a trap we made. Same goes for a stand-up comic doing one-liners. You don't see him laughing, even when you are. But when I talk with my friend, and that's all we ever do. I know he's touching me because he invites response, I respond in kind, and he listens, and we laugh. Of course, I know he's funny because he laughs at my jokes. But I know we're touching each other because we both laugh at our own jokes. That is, when we talk, we surprise ourselves. And that surprise is enough to keep us off center, to move our horizons, and to keep our long game going.
Nice.